Alright, for today's Marvel Monday, we're looking at painting up Moon Knight from the Blade and Moon Knight set for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Or, as I like to call them, the two biggest base failures in the entire line. For Blade, you've got him standing on some kind of smoke with these hands grasping at him. It just really doesn't do anything for me. The pose itself is great, it's just the base. And for Moon Knight, they've basically got him positioned like he's on a wall, on the edge of a building, that sort of thing. But what they've done is they've included this little plinth that looks like the corner of a wall that you just stick on one of the regular bases. So because it still uses the same generic bases that come with everything else. So it's kind of a half-hearted attempt at what could be cool bases. So what I've done is, rather than use that plinth on a regular base, I've printed up a base for Moon Knight that is a wall itself, so that he can be positioned on this and have some verticality and just make the whole pose and the base just look a lot better. So this is the Blade one, so we're going to set him aside for later. I will be doing Blade at some point, because my entire thing is I want a Midnight Suns team for MCP. We of course have all of the stuff that comes with them, including the Midnight Suns list. So Blade, Black Cat, Doctor Strange, Dr. Voodoo, Ghost Rider, Iron Fist, and Moon Knight. There is an expanded list as well that adds a few others, including Wong. So if you get the Doctor Strange and Wong pack, along with Blade and Moon Knight, that's, 4 of your team right there. I'm also going to look at getting Ghost Rider eventually, because it's Ghost Rider. It's awesome. Anywho, so, looking at dear Moon Knight here, you can see the legs are all separate. He's supposed to slot into the top of this really silly base. What we're going to do instead is we will custom mount him to our custom base. So we're going to go ahead and trim out all the pieces with my handy dandy GW snips, and then look at assembling him with plastic cement glue. And then to mount him to the base, since it is resin, plastic cement won't work, we have some super glue for that. So let's go ahead and get clipping. Alright, so now that we have clipped out all the pieces, I'm going to go through and clean them up a bit using my hobby knife. Alright, so as always, the nice thing is these do include instructional sheets on the assembly. So now that we've cleaned up the model, we can follow along a little bit. And we're just going to build the body and attach the... So we're going to basically build all of it up to this point, and then we're going to look at seeing if we'll do the cloak as a sub-assembly. The only problem will be this arm, it looks like. I want to make sure this arm can be mounted and then the cloak added, and go from there. So as I said, I'm going to use my plastic cement, because that will create a much better bond with these pieces, and we'll see how this assembles. So, the two sub-assemblies will work quite well. So I'm just going to let those dry, and then I will mount this to my 3D printed base. And as you can see, whoever designed this designed it very well. Once that slots in, the other foot will be back where it should, and everything will look great. So I will let the plastic cement dry, and I did leave the tab from the original there so I can add a little drilled in hole, and he will mount just perfect. So we'll let them dry. While that's going on, we just need to take a small drill bit. This should be fine. And my pin vise. And this is the problem when your desk gets to a certain point of being messy. You can't find your tools. Alright, so we're just going to cut the video while this is drying, and we'll be back once I've located my pin vise and drilled that hole. Alright, so I was able to hand drill the pinhole for the leg, so that's looking good. I really like how that's going to look, actually. Way better than the little tiny plinth thing. And the cloak I've attached to one of my flying stands that I've used for painting stuff. This will allow me to really make sure I get all of the details and the, back pieces that wouldn't normally be done. So what I'll be doing is I'll prime them separately. I'll apply the initial paint stages, and then we'll combine them and do any finishing touches at that point. But we're all done for assembly, so the next thing is going to be to prime these. Since I'm going to be using contrast, well, actually, I'm going to test Army Painter speed paints for this. I'll be basing in Wraithbone, so I can get that white, and then any white highlights I'll be using my Pro Acryl Titanium white. That is just a lovely bold white and perfect for this. And we'll apply some light ink shading as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish part one of this two-part series. I just wanted to get it out now that I actually had the properly printed base. It was ready to go. I'll be doing the same thing when I get around to blade. I'm gonna basically replace the smoke in these hands with a tombstone. So it'll be like leaping off of a tombstone. I think it'll be much more appropriate than the hands. I've already printed that up and it's ready to go. So that'll be the next model I do after Moon Knight. But next part will be actually painting this guy now that we've got him assembled and ready. And then we'll continue with the rest of Crisis Protocol after that.